came to Ether that Coriantumr should not fall by the sword. They don't, you know what? I mean, people are forgetting. Told you. Coriantumr will not die, people. He's not going to die. He will die of natural causes. Right? And just think about what's going on with these people. And thus we see that the Lord, verse 25, did visit them in the fullness of his wrath, and in their wickedness and abominations had prepared a way for their everlasting destruction. End quote. Right, and they continue to battle people back and forth on the seashore. Coriantumr wounded again, fainted. People thought he died again. Of course not. And verse 31 and 14, the loss of men, women, and children on both sides was so great that Shiz commanded his people that they should not pursue the armies of Coriantumr. Wherefore they returned to their camp. Right? Now, unfortunately, Coriantumr remembers the words of Ether a little too late. Chapter 15, they assemble themselves, people. Like I'm telling you, man, they assemble themselves. Chapter 15, verse 1 came to pass, as I told you, it always does. When Coriantumr had recovered of his wounds, he began to remember the words which Ether had spoken unto him. And he saw that there had been slain by the sword already nearly 2 millions of his people. And he began to sorrow in his heart. Yea, there had been slain 2 millions of mighty men, and also their wives and their children. And he began to repent of the evil he had done, and began to remember the words which had been spoken by the mouths of all the prophets. And he saw them, that they were fulfilled thus far, every whit. And his soul mourned and refused to be comforted. End quote. Right? So, I mean, Coriantumr is awakening to a sense of what is happening. And unfortunately, this happens to so many of us when it's like a little too late. Right? We hit rock bottom. And now climbing back up is going to take a miracle. And it's going to take a whole lot of effort from other individuals. We can't do it on our own, right? And if other individuals aren't willing, unfortunately, things may not go as planned, right? So, man, Coriantumr refused to be comforted. I love that. And he just decides, I'm going to write a letter on over to Shiz and be like, hey, Shiz, man, you know what? If you just stop fighting, I'll just give up the kingdom, man, for the sake of the people. Like, here you go. I'm done. You can have it. Right? I mean, at this point, you would think if that's what you want, you're like, you know what? Good. See ya. You're banished. I don't want to see you or your family ever again. If I do, I will smite your head off, right? In normal circumstances, that's what you do. That's how the kings give it up. Unfortunately, it's too late. Right? And it came to pass that when Shiz had received his epistle, he wrote an epistle unto Coriantumr, that if he would give himself up, that he might slay him with his own sword, that he would spare the lives of the people. End quote. Now, of course, Coriantumr ain't going to do this because the people ain't willing to repent. Like, he may have if the people had, maybe given up their ways, but the people would not repent of their iniquity. And the people of Coriantumr were stirred up to anger against the people of Shiz. Right? So think about how this could happen, people. Like, I'm telling you, it could happen. 2 leaders, 2 factions, at the top, fighting. The people in the bottom start shedding blood. The people at the top have no power because the people at the bottom are so angry with one another that they don't even care what the people at the top gotta say. We want to fight. Right? That could happen, people. Man, so they went to battle again. Coriantumr's losing, and he flees. And it came to pass in verse 8 that he came to the waters of Ripley, which by interpretation is large or to exceed all, Wherefore, when they came to these waters, they pitched their tents, and Shiz also pitched his tents near unto them, and therefore on the morrow they did come to battle. Right? And again, Coriantumr loses the battle and loses all this blood, and he faints for the loss of blood. And the people and the armies of Coriantumr pressed upon the armies of Shiz and beat them and caused them to flee unto the land which was called Ogoth. And they did pitch their tents. Coriantumr did pitch his tents on the hill Ramah. And they began to gather the people together in all the land. And as they pitched their tents in these two places, Ogoth and Ramah, that the people began to gather themselves, right? And they pitched their tents, and they stayed in those valleys and on that hill and listened to this people. And this is where when I saw this recently, I read this a few times, but when I saw this recently, it just stuck out to me like it hit me like a brick from the sky, just bam, right on the top of my head, like, ouch, whoa, why did I not see that before? Verse 14, wherefore they were for the space of 4 years gathering together the people, that they might get all who were upon the face of the land, that they might receive all the strength which was possible that they could receive. And it came to pass that when they were all gathered together, every one to the army which he would, with their wives and their children, both men, women, and children, being armed with weapons of war, having shields and breastplates and headplates, and being clothed after the manner of war. They did march forth one against another to battle, and they fought all that day and conquered not. End quote. Okay, so again, these two verses here, man, just kind of summed up a lot for me. 14, when I saw that the people gathered together for the space of 4 years, I was thinking about that, to the space of 2 camps. How, man, we do that, right? And especially this last, election. And this is what we're doing now, right? This last election in my mind set this off. That we're going to find ourselves gathered in 2 camps. One for the Republicans and one for the Democrats, right? Shiz and Coriantumr, right? Neither one of them are completely right in their willingness and their duties, right? But we're gathering together like one or the other one is absolutely powerful, all right, all knowing, and the other one has no worth, right? And what's so crazy to me in this whole thing is that these people gathered their wives. Like, I get, we were sending the men off to war, right? Bam, bam, handle it. But the women, right? Not only the women, but children. Now think about this, people. Now I want you to think about this. Now they've been gathering for 4 years on these 2 camps, right? And so my presumption and assumption is that there are at least 3-year-olds out there, right? Maybe some 4-year-olds, right? Because I would imagine if there's millions of people out there, at least there's a couple hundred babies. They may have stopped having kids when they decided that they were going to arm up and call it Mortal Kombat, right? And gather together. They may have stopped having kids then. But there's 4-year-olds and maybe, some 3-year-olds out there, right? So now I want to imagine that, people, that you get your little 3-year-old, like my little girl right now, my little 3-year-old, and just focus in her mind so much hatred that when the day comes that she take a knife and try and kill another person. Like, this is what's happening, people. I'm not exaggerating. I know this sounds cruel and unusual, but that's what we just read, right? At least that's what I see when I read this. What? Man, they just got their kids armed up. 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds out there armed up. Isn't that what it says? Armed with weapons of war, having shields and breastplates. Moroni made an effort for you to say wives, children, and men, women, and children, right? Being armed with weapons. They fought all that day. Right? Verse 16, and it came to pass that when the night was night, that they were weary and retired to their camps. And after they had retired to their camps, they took up a howling and a lamentation for the loss of the slain of their people. So great were their cries, their howlings and their lamentations, that they did rend the air exceedingly. And the next day they went and did the same thing, killed and slain one another. I mean, how do you go and do this, people? I do not know. How angry do you have to be at your neighbor to murder their children? Right? People, like, this is no joke. This has happened, people. And the Spirit of the Lord ceased striving with these people, right? And Ether is going out there every night and witnessing what took place that day, having to write the sad tale of what's taking place to his people, right? And Coriantumr tries to write again. Hey man, here's the kingdom. But verse 19, the Spirit of the Lord has ceased striving with them, and Satan had full power over the hearts of the people. For they were given up unto the hardness of their hearts and the blindness of their minds, that they might be destroyed. Wherefore they went again to battle. They slept upon their swords after they fought all that day. And on the morrow they fought, and even till the night came. And 22, when the night came, they were drunken with anger, even as with a man who is drunken with wine, and they slept again on their swords. And on the morrow they fought again, and the night came, they had fallen by the sword. They had all fallen by the sword, save it were 52 of the people of Coriantumr, 69 of the people of Shiz. Man, how tragic. Man, how crazy is this? Every day you still go out there, and I mean, you're so angry that you don't even care. Like, it's over. Like, your wife is gone, your mother, your brothers, just everyone's dead, but these mighty men left, right? The night came, and again they fought the next day, and the night came, there were 32 of the people of Shiz and 27 of Coriantumr. It came to pass that they ate and slept and prepared for death on the morrow. These were the large and mighty men, that's their strength. And it came to pass that that day they fought for the space of 3 hours, and they fainted with the loss of blood. And man, when Coriantumr woke up, man, he was gone. He was about to bounce. But Shiz rose up right after that, pursued them. They did overtake them, and they fought again with the sword. And it came to pass in verse 29 that they had all fallen by the sword, save it were Coriantumr and Shiz. And behold, Shiz had fainted with the loss of blood. And what's so interesting is Coriantumr's like, man, you know what? I ain't gonna kill this guy. I'm gonna try and not, because I'm just see if when he wakes up, man, be like, hey, dude, look, man, everybody's dead. Can we just like stop it here? And Coriantumr leaned upon his sword just to, catch a little breath, just to get a little rest, and he smote off the head of Shiz by mistake, just leaning on the sword. Shiz, reaches for his head, reaches for his neck, struggling for breath, rises up on his hands, and he falls over and dies, right? And Coriantumr falls to the earth as if he dies, and the Lord tells Ether to go out there and witness the entire destruction. Verse 33 of 15. And the Lord spake unto Ether, and said unto him, Go forth. And he went forth, and beheld the words of the Lord had all been fulfilled. And he finished his record. And the 100th part I have not written. This is Moroni speaking. And he hid them in the manner that the people of Limhi did find them. Now these are the last words which were written by Ether. Right? So here they are. whether the Lord will that I